I'm trying to be the star of the show.
All right, let's do this. Hey. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Josh and I were talking the other day about how in the morning we catch up for like 10, 20 minutes and we talk about, you know, what's going on, what we've been watching, new things that came out that we're excited about, gear, kind of whatnot. And we also, I own a podcast company. Josh is a videographer.
I'm not a videographer. I don't like that word.
You're a filmmaker.
I don't even know if I'm a filmmaker.
You're a chauffeur of the arts.
Thank you. I'm a hand holder, bringer together.
Josh,
I like introductions.
Random thought connector.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's better. And so we were like, we are the typical example of the shoemaker's kid who has no shoes. You know, we got the studio. Our office is literally 6 feet this way, and we stopped making our show forever ago. We come up with a new idea for a show every 10 minutes, but we never do it.
We talk about it every day.
We talk about it every day. And so we were like, what if we just did morning cooler, like water cooler talk in the morning, and we'll just talk. It's easy.
We're
We
doing
don't
it
have to work
anyway.
really hard. We've already doing it.
We're here.
Let's just move 6 feet over and
Let's use the space we
press
created
the record button.
Yeah.
And so Josh was like, great, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know we were going to have guests, but then Josh was like, I got a guest.
I got a guest.
And so
The incredible Mr. Hanna.
Mark Hanna.
Mark Hanna, the one and only.
Mark, what's your job title now?
National Account Manager for Sony Faith.
It's a mouthful. Is there an acronym for that?
NASA.
Is that Hebrew?
Yeah, you got to really
In
pronounce
the original Aramaic, yeah.
But Mark works with Sony. Josh and I called him, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago when we saw the release of this camera, and we instantly like, Mark, can you give us one? And he was like, no, that's not how this works. I got a job. I sell cameras. I don't give them away. That's not what he said. But we watched the review on this camera. Oh my gosh. It's got crazy features.
It does.
In particular, the ones that I thought was the best. This has got a bigger sensor than you need. It'll follow your person, which is pretty nice. And the zoom. I feel like if this video had a title this morning, it would be Camcorders are back.
I like it.
The
Because
long and short of it.
That's the tenor of the reviews I'm seeing on YouTube for this. It was like everybody was discounting these things.
Yep.
Remember this? Everybody had this style camera,
Yep.
whether it was the Sony one that was red, gray, or not Sony, whether it was the Canon one that was red, gray,
and gray.
G2 or whatever it was. Those are all over the place. Yeah, go get it. I know you just thought of it.
I'm going to get it. And when I get back, we're going to have today's surprise breakfast.
Is this a segment?
just
Now I
happened?
got to make a graphic. The whole thing was that this was going to be easy. Anywho, tell us a little bit about this camera.
Okay, so this camera is...
Oh, I brought this camera, which is a Sony ZV-1, to ridiculously be the,
ZV-1F.
yeah, if to
Oh, wow,
to
look
record
at
this.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, now I
The
got your
handy
attention.
cam. Wow.
Oh, hold on, I'm doing a bad job. All right, so Mark's gonna tell us about this camera and how it's better than this camera. The slight,
Count the ways.
the slight
Oh,
improvements
geez.
made over time.
One
by the
day,
people
someone
at
in
Sony.
Japan decided to take this camera and this camera and congratulations.
That's what you get here.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool.
So no, this
The
is
name of it. Which one is this? They
is
they
the-
released two at once,
They
right?
did. This is the NX800.
Okay.
The bigger brother of this camera has SDI on it, the Z200.
Is that the main difference?
That's the main difference.
Okay.
So this one has a 1-inch sensor.
Which is big for a camcorder.
It's big for a camcorder. Yep. It's big for a camcorder.
Most of them are tinier, and that's why people haven't been using them professionally.
I think that's exactly right. And I've been demoing this at trade shows, and that's been the thing I've said is, you know, back in the day, a lot of us, this is the type of camera we started with. This
Yeah.
is what we, you know, made our money with, and they've really come out of, you know, they're not vogue anymore. Everybody's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not what I want to be using. I think to your point, this is going to be the camera that brings it back.
That's the vibe I was getting from the, and I was like, and they're only like $3-4 grand, right?
It's sub $4,000, yeah,
So
34 grand?
sub $4,000.
Sub 4 grand.
Yeah, I think it's 34 and 38.
right.
which is crazy if you think about it's got a quality lens on it already.
Yep. And then it has the things I like about it. It's got some of the features that come out of other, you know, the great thing about Sony is we make so many cameras that the features that pop on specific lines, we push into other lines. So the auto framing on this camera is obviously, derived from our PTZ line. It also has an electronic variable ND filter that comes out of our cinema line.
Which is crazy.
It was
This
absolutely
ND
crazy.
filter thing, like I saw some stuff online that it was mind blowing. Like walking shot feels like gimbalish because you got the old handle. Like we all used to carry it this way, which is really stable. And I think people forget that about this kind of camera body.
Yep.
If you can control the way you walk, you can get pretty darn close to a gimbal style feeling. But they were doing crazy shots on these demo things where you're like inside in inside light and walk outside. And that joke ND filter will catch it on the fly.
Joke, ND?
No, I mean a joke. It's like joke, like it's so good. It's like a joke. That Joker. I was making up a thing. It's a bad term. That
You have teenage kids.
That really good filter, ND filter. But I mean, as soon as it's almost like as fast as their autofocus. It's like, oh, there's the sky again, and it's not blown out.
Yeah.
Which remember we were doing that motorcycle shoot in the little Switzerland.
Yeah.
And we tried
Oh, it was
for like
tough.
4 hours
Yeah.
to get a shot from inside to outside.
Yeah.
And it was like, and we just had to fix it in post, right?
Yeah.
It's like you had to just like find a point to cut, make something up, and be like, now it's a completely different thing. But that would have saved us time.
Say we do a demo with the FX6 at NAB where that is really close.
and everything's zebraing on it. So I bet it's
totally
really
blown out.
You're probably really attractive looking.
I was about to say it's
Josh.
really flattering.
Josh is wearing
You watch it. Watch what you say. Josh is wearing
his what he
vest.
normally
Heretics.
wears. All right, back to the camera, sorry.
But like at NAB, we'll take the FX6 and put it on a dolly, and it's exactly like you said. The dolly has a cake topper of a bride and groom, and it dollies into this little chapel and then back out. And all that's the only thing that's set to auto is the ND filter. So as the camera and the cake topper go into the chapel, the ND filter goes down, and as they come out, it starts kicking.
What a
in.
great idea. What a great visual. A cake topper, the camera's following it.
Well, I
on
think they
some
know
sort
their
of
audience,
Yeah,
right?
it just kind of
Like they're selling this to videographers who do weddings.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And corporate events.
And corporate events,
I'm
yeah.
hungry for
And
that.
streaming,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
This has got streaming
It
stuff
does have
that's
streaming.
pretty neat.
Yes.
So if we tie you up right now for 7 days,
Valuable.
it's ours.
It's valuable. And they're built in, which is nice.
Yep.
This is a high-end thing. I think everything about this felt really high-end, which is a weird juxtaposition because it's a camcorder.
It's a camcorder. Right.
Can you explain variable ND to someone who might be learning about
me.
cameras?
So the way this one works is once the ND filter's in, so you can see it drop in the first time when it goes from clear to the first stop. But as it gets darker, basically what it does is those two pieces of film, as their electricity gets pushed into it more, it just darkens.
I like to say in a general, thank you for that, but like also, how would you describe in the use of ND and natural density filter, neutral density filter? What is
So
the
the
purpose
real
of?
value of having a neutral density filter is if you think about your exposure triangle, right? You have aperture, you have ISO, and you have shutter speed, right? Your shutter speed is going to be dictated by your frame rate. You're not going to vary from that. Whatever it is, it's going to be matching or 2 times, right? So
Somebody's watching this for the first time. That's what I'm doing wrong. I keep trying to adjust the brightness with
with my shutter speed, right? But so you're not going to adjust your shutter. Your ISO, you're probably also not going to adjust either because you want at a base ISO. Otherwise, there'd be no value in having multiple base ISO cameras, right? The whole point is that the base ISO, the signal to noise ratio, is optimal. So you're going to want your ISO at base ISO. So what you have now to control your exposure is basically just your aperture, which is great, except for the fact that aperture is also what is most responsible for your depth of field. So by having a neutral density filter, what you can do is control your depth of field and your exposure separate from each other. Does that make sense?
To maintain exposure between high and different throughout the dynamic range of the highlights and the shadows, you're
Right.
maintaining a balanced exposure,
Right.
without having to change the shutter speed.
So
Right,
speaking of
without
depth of
changing anything.
field,
So it's like sunglasses for the lens.
It's sunglasses for the lens. That's exactly what it is.
so speaking of depth of field, it became very trendy with mirrorless cameras to blow out the depth of field behind
yes.
somebody. So trendy that it's like apps on iPhones now to make it
Will do it,
simulate this kind of look. I don't think anybody associates a good depth of field with a camcorder.
Correct.
How does this thing do?
It does pretty good.
Yeah,
It does
I mean,
pretty
it's
good.
got a 1-inch sensor.
Yeah, I mean it's not a small sensor with the variable NDs in there. If you have enough light, you can really kind of shallow the depth of field of this and make it look really good.
Yeah, I saw one of the demos I watched was a lot of nature stuff, and it was really impressive. Like if I was making a nature documentary, I would consider this as the thing.
Yeah, it's a great camera for running gun. It's it's built like a tank, so it's one of those if you were doing a mission trip or going somewhere way out in the back country, it's good for that. You don't have to baby this thing around.
Don't have a lens kit to worry about.
Correct.
How about weatherproofing?
Weatherproofing. Great question that I have no answers for.
Let's try it. No.
Gotta go. You gotta go.
We answer the questions you have, people. All right, so there's two more things I want to hear about from you for this camera.
Okay.
Because you can watch other reviews. This isn't really an in-depth thing, but zoom. And wireless. You get like a wireless version of all of your cameras, like a multi-view for on-location shooting. So imagine being on location. Josh, you shoot like this. You got 3 of the same cameras. You go do an interview. You set up the 3 cameras. Sony has built a thing that's really cool that Mark's going to tell us about that replaces like a bunch of gear you got to bring to the set because it's all built in.
Yeah. So a lot of our Pro line stuff, the FX3, FX6, some of our Alpha line, the Alpha 9 Mark III.
None of the cameras I'm using. We checked real quick.
Here.
But it's a firmware thing, so they might get it. Is that what you're saying?
I honestly have no idea.
Well, maybe. You heard it here first.
Yeah, we did just as of
we've
about,
committed.
Yeah, as of about 9 hours ago, we just added at least one camera to the this app.
So if they added one, maybe they'll add more.
Maybe they'll add more. Yeah, that's right.
But it's a pro thing.
It's
not
mostly
like,
at our
It's
pro
probably
line.
not these. It's not the Sony If. That's going to be the next one in the line.
The ZV-1F. The ZV-E1 will do it. The ZV-E1 will do it.
That's the one with the removable lens.
That's the one with the removable lens.
Yes.
So, but if you had 4 of the cameras that are compatible with this, you can call all 4 of the cameras up in this app, and the app's called Monitor and Control, and it's free. And it'll show you all 4 of the cameras, and then you can click into them individually and just take control of whichever camera you're working with at that time. So you can use all your touch focus, and then all of the controls for everything are located right here.
And you guys didn't see this, but Mark set this up just by bringing in a little router. Like, I don't know if it's on the floor there.
It's on the floor somewhere.
Behind that plant. And then it was just like, just connect to Wi-Fi. So there's Wi-Fi, SSID that the app sends out, and then the camera hooks up to? Or no. The SSID gets from the router. So you need to bring a router.
Yep.
Or use theirs.
But
it'd probably be a lot easier. They're like $100. Bring your own router.
And that's exactly what this is, a Best Buy off-the-shelf router. I haven't done anything to it. Just plugged it right in.
Plug it in. Name it whatever you want.
That's right.
Tell all your cameras that it's there.
That's there.
And then that's how SSID works, right? Yeah. Every time you connect once, as soon as that thing turns on, that's just going to connect.
Just going to connect to it. Yep.
Yeah. So you bring a new piece of gear, which is a little router. No big deal. And then all your cameras, you get like a multi-view.
Yep.
And you can zoom in. You can
zoom
out.
in. You can do.
Now,
anything
can you
reach from the
control
camera.
stuff on the camera?
Yeah, I mean, you can still do everything on the camera you want, but you can do it
can
from
you
here.
control stuff from the app?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you wanted to zoom, we can zoom from here.
Oh man! So imagine you're doing an interview style thing, and your cameras are 10 feet apart, and you're doing that thing where you're spending 40 minutes when the client's in the chair just tweaking
red,
stuff,
2 green, 2 red,
tweaking,
2 green.
tweaking, moving a little.
Yep.
The problem with that I would have with this is I would play with the camera settings the whole time the interview's happening. And then I'd be coloring it later and being like, dang, why does the exposure get a lot better later on?
The other thing is you can start recording on them all right here as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
You can hit record and
so you don't got to go find them. So you can literally do like a 3 camera, 4 camera, really good setup with one person.
Oh, yeah.
That's game changer stuff.
If I were starting a video production company now, depending on where I was focused, if I was going to start a podcasting studio, 3 FX3s
don't do it.
And this.
Game changing.
Just like, don't do it. I don't need the competition. I don't have the time, rest assured. But if that's what I was doing, 3 FX3s and this that'd be the base of it, right? If I were starting a video production company doing more corporate, educational, run and gun type stuff, 3 of these and this, and I'd be set.
Yeah. So, I mean, just think of the implications of that. So, say you wire all the cameras up into a switcher for live streaming, you still get to tweak. It's like you used to have to run like a fiber cable or an Ethernet connection or some kind of whatever. And even ATEMs, like I don't want to talk crap because I think I own every ATEM that they make. the Blackmagic. I'm a fan of Blackmagic, but they make it seem like, oh, you put in the cameras, you'll be able to control them all. Well, if you buy like the $400 fiber adapter that you can plug Cat 6 into and then wire them all to a router, like it's not like plug and play. It still takes work. And people always ask me, like, sometimes I get consulted, like, we should go Blackmagic because you get all that camera control. And I'm like, well, kinda. You got work for it. It's not like built in. Some of the really new stuff is kind of built in.
It is, yep.
But if you're talking about like anything that's not like the super new stuff, you still got to come up with creative ways to get that camera control, color control kind of stuff. So the fact that you can do it with a $100 router, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you don't need a $1,000 switcher.
Correct.
Or you don't need to haul a television because you probably, let's face it, you probably got an iPad.
Yes.
Or phone. That would be pretty challenging on the phone.
It will run on the phone. I don't think it will show you all 4 cameras on the phone. I think you can only run one.
Yeah, and the settings would probably be pretty,
It'd be really
pretty
tough.
tiny. So yeah, iPad. But you probably already got one.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty sweet. All right, so the zoom.
Mm-hmm.
The zoom is nuts because it's not just like the equivalent of the zoom is something stupid, right? Like 24 to 900 or something.
I think that's something like that. Yeah, it's 30 by at 4K. And then you can extend the zoom into clear image zoom, which gets you another 10 by, I think. So I think it goes 30 to 40. So this will do 40 by in 4K.
And so clear image zoom is different than digital zoom.
Well, it is digital zoom, but I hate saying digital zoom because anybody who's used a camera that has digital zoom,
Where's that other Sony? Yeah, the digital zoom on that. You can count pixels when you get to a certain part.
When you use the term digital zoom, everybody goes, no, I know what that means. That's the suck filter for video.
Now we pay hundreds of dollars for plugins to emulate that look.
That's true. Oh, wow. Look at the viewfinder.
The bevel on this is just microscopic. Or bezel, is that the term?
Bezel, yeah.
Oh, yes. Remember when we used to stick our eyes on things?
This one has it. Oh, what's great about this one is it actually has if it's the face technology from like mirrorless cameras. If your face goes up to it, the viewfinder shuts off.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, I like that.
So it knows where you're looking.
Yeah.
Very cool. So it's a higher quality zoom, and I'm telling you, just go watch some of the stuff online. It's like it feels like it's a drone pullout.
Yeah.
Of how far this stupid lens can go. And if you had so again, I'm not meaning stupid. It was like a term for, good. And but imagine if you had a mirrorless, what would a 24 to 900 lens look like? You'd be like the guy at the NFL game that's got like the monopod to hold it up because he can't hold it. And then the camera's like this size.
That's right.
That's funny. I think about that, like taking a camera like that to like a stadium event. Like I like dirt bike racing, so you go to these big dirt bike races where there's 10,000 people, and the rule is you can take a camera in, but it cannot be a camera with a detachable lens.
Yes.
I'm thinking you idiots have no idea how many good zooms there are that are permanently attached.
Yep.
So I could rock in with
this
that.
will be the new soccer mom camera. You know how like it was? What was it like? The late or early 2000s, like there was like a huge uptick. Mirrorless cameras and soccer moms, like everybody had one with the kit lens.
Yep. Yeah.
And they were.
This would be great
way
for soccer
overkill.
There's so many applications for this, really.
Yeah.
And it's so compact. I'm really surprised.
If you're on the sideline for a soccer game, you could record the emotional state of your child.
Yeah.
Throughout the game.
You have a booger in your nose.
It's like, and this is where Johnny looked a little sad. Am I watching a soccer game? Or which is all parents care about. That's the only reason we go to the game. We don't give a crap about other people's kids.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not like it's a good soccer game. Sorry. We're not going to watch the
you can watch the game on the field behind that field with
That's
this
right.
thing.
A couple fields
if
over.
the field
There
in
you
front
go.
is boring. Yeah.
But this thing's fully out for production. You can buy it. It's all good, right?
Yep.
Like Mark said, 34, 38, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in
as
there.
far as the money goes, which is, if you talk about, well, okay, so like, what's the f-stop? Like when you zoom way the crap in, are you talking you're at like f22? Or is
No, this will maintain.
What would
It's
you call
fixed.
that in
So
variable aperture?
Yeah.
With a zoom, usually on your kit lenses. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is 2.8 to 4.5.
Okay, so if you can control it no matter where you're at, that version of a DSLR lens is usually like 2x more expensive than the non-version.
Yeah, there's a
lens.
comma difference usually between the
Right.
kit version and the...
So if you're thinking like, oh, I'm making some compromises in the lens, I mean, this is a Sony G series lens. Is this Zeiss glass? They do that.
Oh,
a lot.
really? That's a G?
It is a G. I think we make our own now.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry, Carl.
Yeah.
Carl got
Sorry, Carl.
canceled.
Zeiss is nice, but
used
G
to
is.
be.
He started making lenses for Black Magic, and they're like, "Get the crap out of here!"
I don't know that that's what happened.
Micro Four Thirds nonsense.
But yeah, I know we did for a long time. Yeah, all of the before the G Master stuff, it was all Zeiss lenses.
Yeah.
So
This is, I think,
it probably is.
this says Zeiss on
It
it.
says Zeiss on it. Yeah.
Oh, if I take this camera, I, bet
promise
this
you
is
that
really
one does
interesting.
not, Josh.
It says Sony video lens,
doesn't
boys.
say
It does
Zeiss.
not say Zeiss.
Yeah,
But yeah, could you
optical
imagine
1x5.
trying to buy like a 900 with a fixed,
No, I mean it'd be as
Aperture.
big as this table.
and it would be $25,000?
Yes.
I just do have to say, for Sony's sake and preserving
I should have hooked that camera into the switcher so we
and
could have
evolving, yeah.
cut to it.
And if there has to be an effect in post for that,
with
right?
with the line.
Oh, it is there.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is an f4.1. Wait, sorry. This is the zoom range is to. Why does this say f4.1 and then this here to 61.55? Wouldn't that indicate the distance of the zoom?
You're correct.
There's an F here.
Is it fixed at f4.1 and then
When
or is it
zoomed,
1 to 165? I don't know.
it's a scramble of
see.
coding that
Yeah.
only you.
I remember
can-
those type of cameras. They didn't get darker when you zoomed in, I think.
They were consistent.
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah, you're right.
They were not
It's
made
interesting, right?
for anybody
is-
to understand that setting when they sold these.
Correct.
This was like,
Correct.
I need something to document my kid opening their Christmas presents.
61. You're correct. I don't know.
We just uncovered that this is the best lens.
I looked up. By the way, if you got a hookup for tape for that, I would love it because these jokers are for like $40 a pop on
yeah.
eBay, and they're hard to find. I don't know if Sony even makes them. Do they make them
Hi8?
new ones? Yeah.
Have you guys seen this?
It's coming back.
Have you?
Speaking
oh,
of-
is it
A lot of the old tape stuff, film stuff, is coming back
for the
So,
old
like,
camcorders?
Yeah,
No
a lot
kidding.
of that stuff is coming back. I saw, in fact, I think it was this camera. There was a guy at one of the last trade shows was shooting his trade show, like walking around the floor stuff on that
on
that camera.
I think
Really?
it's a look now that people are using. I don't know if you guys caught that HBO series called Winning about the Lakers in the 80s.
Oh, I heard about that.
But
It's
they
really
would
good.
cut
Yeah.
back as part of the storytelling.
Yeah.
They would change and they would introduce things that were bad artifacting. Then you know they're shooting with the same cameras. So like you would see halation, you would see like the little box where it's like off to the side like it was emulating shot on film. And they would do it to kind of like progress the story.
Okay.
And every time I try to do it for a client, they're like, "What's wrong with this footage?" I'm like, it's artsy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we just used that on something, didn't we? On the rebrand.
We tried. We made the VCR thing.
But there was no negative note from the client.
Yeah,
so
because that was
we made
appropriate. It was they
Yeah,
were talking
works.
about
Yeah.
something happened in the 80s, so it made sense.
But on this basketball film, was it the same camera? Was it a modern camera? They
I
just
have
did it
to
in
imagine
post,
they
or-
didn't switch to this to shoot
Right.
it.
I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
But if they
yeah.
did, respect.
The nightmare of just trying to get footage from that off of the Hi8 tape into something to
Yeah, remember that?
Oh,
You guys
my.
remember?
Yep.
You had to
No.
real time
Yep.
watch it back.
Yes.
What was that
yeah.
called?
no, when it got really cool when you could do it at 2 times speed.
Yeah.
Oh.
What was that called? The process of getting it from like a mini DV. It had a name, and I'm blanking on it.
Converting?
No.
No.
It's not digitizing.
Did it have the word trans in it? Transcoding?
Transcoding? No.
It could have been. No, it was in the menu.
Yeah.
It was like it was capture related. It wasn't capture.
It
That's
wasn't
not the
capture
word.
though. You're right. You're
But
right.
there was something that was, and you let us know in the comments. 0 people.
0 people.
0 people. Why are you calling them zeros?
Because we don't even have a show name yet.
Oh,
it's not
somebody,
shipped.
whoever's watting this, leave a like
They're
and
watching
leave a
it,
comment.
yeah.
It will
Tell
send
us
you
what
something.
that's called.
We
Google
really
it.
will.
We could Google it, but we're lazy. Oh, I was trying to say, speaking of stuff coming back, have you guys seen the new lenses that people are selling that are for regular mounts, Sony mounts, whatever camera you're using, that people have gutted disposable camera lenses and made it so you can snap it
I
on?
have seen this.
This is like this, I'm longing for the way stuff used to look. And I don't know, the resurgence is like, I just don't want to do it in post anymore.
Oh.
I just want it in the camera.
The hunger for aesthetic comebacks often comes with a price and quality.
Oh yeah.
Are we in agreement on that? With
No,
the whole
so-
camera thing,
no, I
the
don't think so.
motorcycle
I
thing,
think
but
if
the
you
camera
use-
thing in particular.
If you spend like $3,000 on a lens, you should replace it with the one off of a disposable
a
camera
disposable
from
camera.
Walgreens.
I mean, I get the aesthetic of the quality of the image,
Oh
but the
my
aesthetic of
gosh.
looking at the camera
I
is a
feel
different.
like, all right, I'll just say it. I feel like there's not a more hipster douchebag move that you can make than to show up to a client shoot and be like, this is going to be great. I just ripped this off of a Walgreens thing. I'm just going to smash it onto this.
Hey,
Got
in a pinch,
$10,000
and there's a
$10,000
Walgreens, you have
camera
no
and a
choice.
$30 lens.
Why'd you do it? Reasons.
Well, before I forget, have you? I hear about this. I would love to visit Japan's camera shops. I hear they're just fantastic for the resales and the film, and just what you have available there. Have you been to Tokyo yet?
I have not.
Oh, is it on your dream list of
It
places?
is a bucket list trip for me.
you
but
think,
I
think
don't
you'll
know.
travel there for work?
I would hope I would eventually. I don't know whether I actually would or not.
Yeah. That would be a fun trip.
That would be a fun trip.
Are you ambitious within the company? Are you looking forward to climbing that Sony ladder?
Oh no, I'm really happy right where I am.
Are you thankful where you are?
I am so thankful for where I am.
Yeah, it seems a great fit for you. Knowing you for several years now, and like seeing you in this chapter is you're lit up, man.
I'm doing right what I want to do, which is work with churches, work with a great brand. Something that I don't have to feel bad about going in saying, "Here, let me show you my stuff."
Right.
It's not
Because
like
when
a-
I knew you before, it was
It's not like a
always this
Christian
thing of
brand
like,
camera. This is the new Trinity Dovecast. It's great. This one features the new feature transmogrification. It's a pneumatological
Yeah, extra
lens.
sanctification in this camera.
because it's been baptized, it's fully submergible.
That's right.
That's what we're missing.
If there was a Christian camera, there would be GoPro versions
GoPro
that are for
versions, that's
baptizing
right. I'm
that the
gonna-
people wear, and they're like, "Oh,
Dunk. Yeah.
That'll be my feedback back to Sony. Is they
Yeah.
need to make the
Yeah.
enclosed
Baptizable.
waterproof, baptizable version of this.
Well,
Yeah.
if they've made it
Baptizable.
in the past, they can always
right, so-
reincarnate it.
Speaking of house of worship, you got this camera. You are, let's say, you're 60 feet from the stage. What kind of shot are you looking at? Like a usable 6-shooter?
You're probably even tired of that. You're probably at a bust with the 30 by.
Okay, so that's crazy. For all you churches that are still using ENG style cameras and trying to make them work, I mean, this is an upgrade consideration for dang sure. And with the handle and the body style, I mean, this is a great roving camera, right?
Oh yeah, it's a great roving camera.
God, you
Not
guys
to
have
mention-
great terms. From,
Not to mention that you can use this app for your volunteers that might not understand the aperture triangle. Did I use that term right?
Exposure triangle.
Wow, so no, I didn't. I'm not a gearhead, but I do get excited when things work well. And from the tutorials and stuff that I saw, like this is on my list. I kind of wish that all the cameras in here were this, so that if I wanted to, like that camera could be at the end of the room and I could just show it somebody's face. Like it's way more zoom than I need in here.
Oh yes.
But the fact that it's just, you know, they're all going to match. I like Sony color. I like Sony autofocus. It's fast and it rarely gets confused. I rarely see it breathe in a podcast. And it just works. And it's great for things like, you know, like if I wanted to put my hand in Josh's shot, like that autofocus will find my hand real quick and then get back to Josh. And that's a Sony, well, that's on the bottom and it's too small.
it's tiny little thing.
It's a ZV something, but it's not this one. There's like 4 ZVs now, I think.
How many different cameras do you have?
Those two are the same. That one's different. I got more Sonys in the other room, but I ran out of channels. on the switcher.
van.
We're kind of
Is it behind the free candy door?
we're kind of name brand agnostic when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I like the automatic. So if you're talking like nerdy stuff, I like the Sony set on portrait mode. I feel like the colors are very vivid. It does a nice thing for skin tone that emulates like going into post and softening, but not like your Instagram, like you went too far,
Right.
where everybody's fake and no, skin is not
Yeah,
one
they have
color.
no, right.
It's not, there's not one color of the human face. There's more colors in there, and pretty decent. If you get like the smaller ones close enough, you get a really nice blurred background.
Yep.
And again, I mean, don't discount it. Like I'm using $500-$600 cameras with built-in lenses, and they look good because lighting. Like you can't not light. Like you gotta have good lighting.
No, lighting is the rising tide that raises all ships.
Love that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
I thought
in the
you were-
beginning there was light.
That's true. It's right in the Bible. Speaking of other things I like, didn't you say you bought
What a
breakfast?
segue.
Oh, speaking of
What a
segues,
segue.
this town brought to you by Town of Cary Segways. Are they coming soon? Segways?
I think a Segway tour in downtown Cary would be very popular. All right. But I think
Today's breakfast brought to you by.
we would go down there with cameras in hopes of capturing fails. I love a Segway when they spin and people lose it. And they're
Lose
like,
it.
"Oh," and it
Oh
throws them.
gosh, what is this?
La Femme Bakery
Oh,
Croissant.
love La Farm.
Let's talk
You
about
choose between the chocolate one, the almond one, and the standard croissant. We'll play the roulette wheel of croissant,
Roulette wheel of croissant.
also known as a very small lazy Susan.
Very
All right.
Actually, it's a very lazy Susan. Is what it is.
If you're a cinema fan, you might have recognized that voice. Because I feel like that's the voice you did when you played the waiter in Talladega Nights.
Monsieur Gerard, Ricky Bobby is here to see you.
All right, I'm going to play that clip. You'll see young Josh telling that to, who was that, Will Ferrell you were talking to? That's it?
Well, Sacha Baron Cohen was my boss.
He was
in
your
the
boss.
scene.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrell visited
Every
the
time I
house.
see that streaming, I watch it. If I'm in a hotel or wherever, because I know that you're going to get a lime green royalty check at some point, and I'm just doing my part.
How do you know they are lime green?
I think I heard that on a podcast once.
That
Are they really
that
lime
our
green?
residual checks are lime green.
Are they?
That's hilarious. Yes, they are.
Okay. Well, you learned something. That's
Wait, you
really
get
what the show is
residuals?
for. That's really what this show is for.
They're all green, everyone.
Hey, puppy. Look what's down here. Dog. Hello, dog. Look at that ND filter. No, it's not. That's not this
that's
camera.
not that camera.
Well, thanks for showing us this camera, man.
Oh, dude,
it's
glad
on
to.
it's on my list. I want to buy it. He said he won't leave it with us.
Can't. Sorry.
The show's over. That's a
Welcome
great
to
ending.
Dead End.
It's like what was it? The old Top Gear, right? And on that incredibly depressing note,
Well, if there's a way to make them watch it all the way through to get to the end, that would
We
work.
do need a segment or a bad way to end the show.
bad way to end
Like
the
a
show.
horrible way?
Yeah, like a horrible way. Like you're just in the middle of it.